a town you never heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
Welcome back to Common Folk.
Let's go.
We should probably open it up with the shot.
Really?
Oh, okay. Wow.
Just be different.
I guess if you want to,
Hey.
let's kick it off then. Hey,
Yeah,
Okay.
Forget about holiday weekend. Holiday week.
this is our annual. Will this be?
I mean-
is this the third episode that we've done on 4th of July?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
On talking about 4th of July in America.
Our Independence Day.
Crack it.
There
Crack
we go.
it.
Exactly.
There we go.
Let's
So
crack
it's this.
these bottles.
It's 4th of July week. We have the most patriotic bourbon in existence on the table right now.
We do. Soldier Valley has, what's the guy's name? The songwriter?
Oh,
Greenwood?
Lee Greenwood.
Oh,
Lee
yeah.
Greenwood. Yeah.
Signs every bottle. Signatures on every bottle.
He's proud to be an American.
Why
That's
is it
right.
every time I forget which one I like better?
It's that one.
Get it right.
Yep, it's that
Are
one.
you just okay? We're
you
putting
guys,
it in a
you guys
glass,
take
or
the
are we
glasses.
straight and tugging it?
I'll take the bottle.
Okay.
Whoa.
Which one do you want?
That one's fine. I don't care.
All right.
Okay.
So we have the most patriotic bourbon
I thought you were
in
going to say
existence
listeners.
on the table.
We have the most listeners.
Soldier Valley. Their bottles are shaped like old school canteens,
Yep.
like World War II canteens. Literally fit in a canteen holder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lee Greenwood signed on the front. It says True American Signature Bourbon Whiskey.
And they stand true to that. I think the first demographic and areas that they went to was different Air Force bases, Army bases across the nation, made sure that they got into those shops before they really, I don't even know if they try to get into a place like Costco. I'm sure they do,
Yeah.
But no, it's
It's
always
some
been
good
about the
stuff.
veterans.
So this one I
what
have
they
here is
do.
the signature bourbon. Over there you've got the D-Day.
Yeah.
I think that one's
whiskey.
got a little more rye in it.
I picked that one up at, or did you get this one? I thought I got this one at Hy-Vee, and
I
you
think-
got that one at the distillery.
I think that's the one that came from the distillery. Cause
Oh,
it
it
was
is?
like
Because that's the one this is the one I was like, oh my god, I love
so
it.
the D-Day was a little bit more exclusive batch, I think.
Mm.
But man, they make good stuff. So
Yeah.
check them out. Go online, search Soldier Valley Bourbon, Soldier Valley Whiskey. You can find the stuff all over. So like lots of distributors are carrying it. It's great stuff. The folks who run it are right here in town. We've met with them. We've got an episode.
Yes, we do.
Rich was his
Yep.
name, right?
Hagedorn.
Rich Hagedorn.
He was a good one.
I think about him every once in a while because he was so energetic and fun to talk
Yeah, he
with.
was
Just
fun.
to be around,
Yeah,
he's fun.
yep.
But he told the most honest South Dakota pheasant hunting story
I remember that,
ever.
yeah.
I mean, I almost fell off the chair, off the
Yeah.
stage, because
Yeah.
we did it at their distillery. I'm like, I can't believe you just said that.
All the outfitters who are listening fell out of their seat.
they
Yeah.
did. It went off the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
All right,
But
let's
yeah, man,
cheers
good
it.
stuff. So let's take a drink here. Soldier
go.
Valley. Cheers.
Cheers.
Got your six.
I'm just sucking on the bottle here.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm awake now. Wow.
Like I said, maybe we should start every podcast with a shot. Would it loosen everybody up? Is that like a new thing, or is that something that other podcasts do? Is that Joe Rogan does that, or they just smoke weed the whole time?
They do whatever they want.
Yeah, and
Okay.
he does the
We
note.
ain't no Joe Rogan, but
Well, we're getting there. We're climbing the charts.
right,
but,
exactly. Just a little behind.
Yeah. I think it all matters who's his guest, right? With old Joe Rogan. Like they'll start a show with a shot.
Or a prayer. Yeah, true.
Who would be like the number one guest that you could have for this particular episode that we're having right now?
Ooh.
Oh man.
Who would be the most America MFer around?
Probably it might just be because Joe Rogan's on my mind, but he had Kid Rock.
Boom. That's exactly who I was thinking. They
got into America pretty
I mean, come on, you guys wouldn't pick a
in the path blue ribbon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, swinging middle finger.
Trump? Isn't he straight American?
I mean, obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about like party America.
Yes. No,
like
he's totally
through and
Trump.
through.
Yeah.
Kid Rock.
That is the dude.
Yeah, that is the dude.
He just built a house that looks like the White House.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's hard to beat.
yeah, it is hard to beat. It's like sounds like a redneck paradise, and
Yeah.
that's right up my alley.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll still keep dreaming about that. So what are we talking
so
about then?
it is 4th of July week. You going to drop this tomorrow?
Yeah, we can get it out. We'll do that.
So this will come out a day before the 4th.
Let's do it.
And we're just here to talk a little bit about America.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like in prepping and thinking about this, I haven't had a whole lot of fun thinking about this. So
Ooh, this is going to
am
get spicy, guys.
I am looking to you guys to talk me off the ledge a little bit here.
Well, like how bad have we gotten here, Ben? Are you like, I just saw Amy Schumer, the comedian. She also has joined the list of celebrities that's going to leave the country if one of the two guys that she's not for, because it's the right choice, gets elected president. She's going to move to Canada or somewhere. She'll figure it out, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm always
he
like,
might be there.
I'm like, well, then we'll see you. We'll see you.
Bye.
Yeah.
The a lot of times, if you break it down into really simple terms, it makes the most sense for me. I'm kind of a simpleton. And South Park, years and years ago, had a quote, and they, they're from Colorado, so they're Broncos fans. And Kyle Marsh, one of the four boys, said something like, if you can't cheer for the home team, get the fuck out of the stadium. So when I see like Amy Schumer say something like that,
all
I'm
right,
like,
then go.
Yeah, get out of the stadium.
Yeah.
If you're not for the Broncos, get out.
Yeah.
Well, I just got my nails done red for the 4th, so
That's
I'm
good.
in
It's
spirit.
patriotic.
You're feeling it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't
All
normally
right.
do that. So
Yeah.
what do you so hung up on?
I mean, I'm not like super hung up, but I think anybody who pays attention to anything, especially over the last year or two, or maybe even a little bit more, but I really feel like it's been ramped up more lately. You go to the top, right? You go to the president. You go to who's supposedly, air quotes, we don't have video today, but I'm air quoting, running the country, right? We just came off of the most unbelievable debate that I've ever seen in my life.
What, you don't think Biden had a 6 handicap?
I mean, God.
That was my whole thing. I'm like, no freaking way that dude is golfing that well.
And no freaking way are they talking about this on stage in front of millions of people. This is asinine.
I thought that was kind of refreshing. Like, see, they are people.
It was unbelievable is what it was. I've probably, I would say over the last like 2 to 3-ish elections, as I get older, I'm getting, more interested and wanting to know what's going on and those kinds of things. So I've been watching these things, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I've been watching the debates. I look forward to the debates. They're super interesting because I get to see these people in the raw live having to respond to things. And this one kind of came out of nowhere. It was the earliest debate ever.
Yeah.
It was just these two.
Yeah, it kind of felt like they wanted to exclude maybe a third candidate there.
Wait,
Yeah,
but
for
so
sure.
normally it's way later, like a couple months later? Is that what
Usually
you're saying?
it goes later. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Usually the first debate's later in the year.
I didn't know that.
Because election isn't until November.
Yeah.
So they it's when they get closer to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons that people think as to why, but the whole thing kind of felt a little bit rigged. That like, okay, here's who's putting it on. The mics are going to be muted.
Sure.
All of the things.
Sure.
But as a person who pays attention to stuff, you're looking at it and you're going, dude, this is I'm literally going to be able to witness a train wreck.
And it was.
There's
right?
no way,
When
there was
when
no way around it. I don't understand how anybody didn't think that that's what it was going to be. So we're at home. Morgan's at baseball. Myself and my middle daughter, she's kind of getting into this stuff, starting to learn. She's 18 now, 19.
Yeah. Almost 19, yeah.
Yeah, 19 this month. And so she's watching. Within a couple of minutes in, everything became apparent. It was like, holy shit! This is a freaking TV show. Like this is a reality TV show.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what debates are anyway. I mean, it's
but it was like a
variation of
scripted reality TV show that like brought in a bunch of drama and crazy shit for people to be like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next episode.
And to stir the pot a little bit, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it was the craziest thing that I've seen. So I watch it, and all it did was confirm for me all the things that I thought were going on, all the things that probably 80% of the population, the silent majority of the people that we talk to every day, thought was going on, but we got to see it on essentially live TV.
Do you mean like how, let's just say Joe Biden couldn't recall some of his thoughts, got lost. I think he got lost or tripped up like 2.5 minutes into it.
Exactly.
And then you had Trump try to hop in there, and his mic was turned off.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard people say that was probably the best thing for Donald Trump, is that they were turning it, because he didn't look so brash. He wasn't so confrontational. He wasn't allowed to be because his mic was turned off. So it actually worked in his favor. But I felt like that didn't tell anybody anything they didn't already know.
Right.
There you go.
And so like I wasn't shocked at any of it. I thought the golf banter was hilarious. And that's one of those things where you approach a guy like Donald Trump who's not going to lose on anything ever, no matter what. And he really does take his golf serious. You know, talking about Kid Rock. Right. Kid Rock's golfed with him a few times.
Did you see him the next day after? There was like a clip, and he was like talking smack about it when he was golfing.
Sure,
like,
of course.
See? Look at me.
Yeah, he's kind of petty like that, but he's also kind of a comedian. And you're exactly right. It is reality TV. It just felt a little bit more staged this time with who was hosting it being on CNN, them having control over the microphones, and them trying to even the playing field as much as possible. As soon as you start putting those parameters up, it F's with it. It's not what you're used to seeing.
I just couldn't believe that they actually went through with it. Like, if I remember 4 years ago, wasn't there supposed to be debates and they couldn't have them because of COVID?
Sure, yeah.
And Biden was like in his basement, like making recordings, and everyone was like, "Oh, this guy's hiding out," whatever. It just blew my mind. I was like, "You guys are going to actually do this?" Yeah. And they did. And everything happened that we knew was going to happen, like you just said. Things just got confirmed. And now all of a sudden, all the folks on that side are like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? This guy, he can't be president." Everyone's scrambling now.
Because I think we have to, let's like take ourselves and try to be the other side for a second. If they are not fed this material or follow accounts or are not the common folk, right?
I mean,
they're going to miss out and think that Biden has been fine until they actually witnessed it, correct? Like
I don't think I'm being too much of a conspiracy theorist when we're hearing rumbling, especially now that the Obamas are attacking Biden very publicly right now. And that's always kind of been the sentiment. Can he make it? Can he run again? Will he be able to do it again? Right. And so have this one early, right? Is that what you're going to have this one early so they can fall back on their fallback plan, whether that's Kamala, I don't know, Michelle, I don't know, whoever it is.
Whoever
Gavin
was
Newsom,
in the audience, that's what we were saying.
California.
But this gives them time to pivot and get somebody else in there, which might have been the plan all along. Once again, these are speculations that have been out for 4, 5, 6 years now, which is amazing when you think about that. So once again, I'm not shocked about it, and I'm not a politician scholar or really stay up on it. Maybe a little more than some, but. These are all things that have been out there.
And I think those are all good points, and they're all, it's all obvious, all these things that you're saying. What we're talking about today is the confidence in America and in our system and how I feel about it. And I look at this stuff, and I'm just like, what in the actual hell are we doing? Like how are we today? How are these the two that we have to pick from? But then when you start digging in further and you start realizing, you know what? These two don't even matter.
Right.
Because they're just the figurehead. Like, yes, they're going to have some influence for sure. Yeah. But there's other decisions being made, and there's other decisions that have been being made for the last number of years here under this current presidency. So I'm looking at all these things, and I'm like, what is happening to America? What are we doing? How is this where we are today?
Well, but I feel like you're really taking a hard negative line here, and and I want to throw a different perspective at you. Maybe you should feel a little bit better about the system, as you put it, because we can have a guy. Right now, there's a fun little trend on TikTok going around calling "Do the Biden," and it's where you stop and you act like you just shit your pants. Do the Biden, and then you stop and go, and you shit your pants.
Oh my God!
He does this in public. Like he's been caught. I think he shit himself at the Vatican. How embarrassing! But anyway, he's our president. But there's my point. you can have somebody totally incapable like that in that position, supposedly the most important position on the planet, and our system is still running and running fine. In all, not all, but on a lot of the measurables here, I'll just take myself, for example. I drove to work, cut my thing, got it done, went to the bank, did this, did that, picked up some supplies, came back, drove through Wendy's because, I skipped lunch because I was at work, and then I had to get here. That's pretty cake. It's pretty. I mean, it's a pretty good system.
Compared
still
to like
spinning.
a different country, you're saying.
And I can piss and moan and say, well, that the square burger at Wendy's is $2 more expensive than it was. Well, sure, but that's inflation and that's capitalism and that's our system we got. Could it be run better? Of course, a lot better. But yeah, I mean, I'll be hard pressed to talk too much shit about the United States and what it's done for me.
And that's the question. That's where my head's at is, like you said, like, oh, well, the system's still running fine. Personally, I don't think the system's running fine, but I do believe
it's running.
Yeah. It's running.
And I do believe that it's running better than a large majority of the rest of the world. So there's that.
Yeah.
We've got that to feel good about.
But if you compare it to itself, in the past, it's not running better. Is that what you're doing?
And really what we could be.
Well,
okay.
And I thought, I got degrees in, business degrees. And one of the things that I noticed early on, in level 101s, is how the government would step in and shut some innovations down. And I feel that the United States has really been impacted over the last, let's say, 500 years, or, not 500, but 50 years for sure, where we haven't allowed innovation to just really take hold. And we've fallen back, and we're not, to your point, what we could be. And, once a government entity or some kind of outside force gets its foot in the door, it just takes more. It takes more. It takes more. And yeah, something's going to have to happen, right? In order for a...
I mean, this sounds kind of random, but last night watching the USA play soccer on the Copa, whatever, they lost. Okay, second game, should have won. The announcers who have played in this tournament, whatever, they just kept saying, "This guy's out." Like the USA head soccer coach, he's out. He's out. Get him out. He's fired. Like, you guys kept promising us years and years ago, these next teams were developing. They're going to be better. They're going to be better. Yeah. They're not better. They lost to two easy teams. It's just reminding me of that. Like, so who do we blame? The United States isn't better than we were 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, of course, there's the players, but the coach found these players to make a team. Yeah. Is it the same? Like, the president is not that great. We have capabilities, but we're not utilizing it. Type of thing. Like, it's just where my mind's going. Just hearing that last night in a different sports analogy, it was
interesting.
It was huge that they want this coach out.
Interesting.
He's going to be gone before the World Cup in 2 years.
Has to be a fall man. There has to be a fall man.
So, I mean, can the president be the fall man here of this country? I mean, I feel like that's the deal.
I think they always are. Like, that's all the stuff that you hear in the news is like, oh, it's like a president. Like, take George Bush as an example. Junior. Or he's not a junior technically, right?
Right.
But
he's W.
The younger. When he was in office, they talked mad shit about that dude.
Oh yeah.
Like,
now watch this drive.
Saturday Night Live had a heyday with that guy.
Yeah.
And now afterwards, it's like, oh my God, he was so great. He did all these great things, blah, blah, blah.
Stabilized America after 9/11.
Yeah. So my point is that, like, in the moment, there's definitely a fall guy, and they definitely get all the trash talking about them. Yeah. And then after it's over, later people start saying like, oh my gosh, well, this guy did, this good and that good and whatever. And it's like they've given the benefit of the doubt or something.
Right. Yeah. I think a part of that is that 20,000 foot view, right?
Yeah.
The further away you get, it's not as bad or whatever.
And that's something that could maybe be, thought about in the conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah.
Because we are in the thick of it. Like, we just came out of this debate just a few days ago.
And we've had you and I and more, we've all had really good lives right up to this point.
Oh, yeah.
You know, can't complain, can't argue. And you read some stories about, like, let's just say our grandparents and great-grandparents, they were always at war, like big wars, went through a depression, went through the roaring 20s, where most people didn't get to have a lot of fun in the roaring 20s, like, you know, that it's glorified as. And then you had the Cuban Missile Crisis, so you get out of a war, but now you're in like a silent war. Like, it was shitty. It was tough. It was hard. And I've just had a life of fluff. I really feel that way. Like, I've just been able to just kind of do what I want to do, like on a professional level. Went to school, played football, you know, and I'm not big. I'm not athletic.
Big American there.
Yeah.
So does that go back
You know?
to, and I'm not saying this is you, but does that go back to what we've talked about before, where good times make weak men and weak men make
call me
hard
weak?
times? I'm not saying that you are, but what I'm saying is that the picture that you just painted was that your ancestors were consistently challenged.
Yes.
And you have not been. Like, they did. They went through the hard times to create the good times that you're experiencing.
Right.
So, as we've talked about before, are we coming down on the other side of that where
This is the hard time.
It was the good times, and the weak men were created because we just weren't challenged the way that our previous generations were.
Two arguments here for you. First off, I don't view it as that way. I view it as I have a good grip and an appreciation for what they did, so I want to build on that. So that's why I'm making more good times. Like, I'm still going to work. I'm still doing the job. I'm showing up every day, doing the thing, right? So I feel like me and probably the majority that we like to talk about do understand that, God damn it, we don't have it as bad as them, and they're the ones that propped us up to be here, so let's take full advantage. On the other, and then another side of that, let's be honest, that generation put a lot of these things into place that have created the problems that we're living through right now. Policies, people they elected, people they put in power, just how they raise their families. And you know, now that we're further away from it, we can say, okay, there were some issues there. They weren't just the greatest. Okay, let's just give them their due. Yes, you're the greatest generation ever. Kind of pompous, but whatever. Okay, you are.
Yeah. But did you get in your car today and it started, like, back then? If their car didn't start, they had to work on it. They didn't get to just pick up their cell phone, call, get it to a body shop. You know what I mean? Like, all the things. So to both of your points, like, we do have it easier, but they might have created that, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah. Some of the things that a lot of these policies that we're kind of, you know, talking about were put in place by these generations before us. Yeah. And so, same with I just did a news story over student loan forgiveness, and man, that's going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so way back in the day, most education was publicly subsidized by our government, and then they started taking that away. So then personal finance companies swooped in and said, all right, we'll pick this bill up, and then they took full advantage of it, and now we're in this world of shit where you have both sides, to your point, fighting with each other. It should be free. It shouldn't be free. It's not free. Someone's paying for it. It's the taxpayer. Well, all that shit, that issue was made. It's not me. I didn't put these policies in place. I didn't say education should be free. I didn't subsidize education in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So don't point at me and tell me that I'm weak and I don't know what we're talking about here. So we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to work through it. But, you know, it's very layered, I guess, what's going on.
It is. And my mind goes to, like, the thought of, you've said this to us before, is the grass always greener? So, like, this lady, what's her name, that wants to leave and go to Canada?
Amy Schumer.
Oh, is it going to be better over there? You don't know what's going on over there. You don't know what's going on in Mexico.
Tom Green.
You know what I mean? Like, all the things. Like, you just want to peace out on the world here in the States.
The world that propped you up and made you into a celebrity.
You actually don't know. So to the point of that, like, how do you know it's even that much better over there?
Tom Green said it isn't, right?
He's from Canada,
Yeah,
right?
and he moved back to
Yep.
Canada, and now he's a
Yep.
recluse. He just lives on his
Mhm.
farm by himself.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the solution is get a massive homestead somewhere. Don't tell anybody where you're at. Stay here.
Are you sure that you believe that that's the solution? Because we will go do that tomorrow.
Okay. I'm just saying we have to tell people where we're at. But
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about while you were talking about that, and I've been told this before, but it just kind of hit me when you were saying what you were saying earlier, Andy. We're sitting here and we're doing a little bit of bitching about the administration and the way this country's run and these kinds of things. The fact that we can even do that, right?
yeah.
Right.
So we can sit here and we can record this episode right now and we can put it out on national media. It's going to hit folks all over the world.
40,000 strong. What's up?
Not just the U.S., but the powers that be can potentially hear it and all those kinds of things, and we're not going to get arrested,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So there's things like that we do have that are great,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we get the opportunity to speak our mind.
Still have freedom of speech. In a lot of cases, you can point to where maybe it's under fire or it's under attack.
Mm-hmm.
Certain words have been taken and then given back, and then talk about this, not that. But that's also where I feel the silent majority, and that's why I was so excited a few episodes ago with the consciousness that connects everybody, where we don't talk about it, but if we started to talk about it, we'd feel a lot better about how there are solutions at hand.
Right.
And I don't even want to say an easy way out. It's just an easier blueprint, I guess, to follow. If we all knew what each other was thinking, if you could just get over it and say, I'm comfortable enough to talk about politics without, and I shouldn't have to worry about offending you. Like, you should know that you can say whatever you want to me, and I'm not going to fly off the handle and try to convince you that you're wrong. You know, be civil.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of our issue today. I was literally talking to one of my buddies about this the other day, and he was like, we can, do whatever, we can throw a party, whatever, we can do these things, but I don't want to hear anybody talking about politics. I don't want to hear any of these conversations, blah, blah. All this does is it just leads to negativity every single time.
Yep.
And it's not that he's necessarily wrong, but what is wrong is that it shouldn't be that way.
Exactly.
You can agree to disagree. Just have a human conversation.
And why do you have to hate somebody just because they have a different opinion on it, right?
Exactly. And take it as an opportunity to maybe hear a guy out, maybe learn something.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what we want to talk to today, and I was wondering if it would come up. I think this is a good spot for it. But it was me and Dad, and we went to church. After I went to church, because Mom was Catholic, Dad was Methodist, and they were staying that way. So it was just me and Dad, and I was and the sermon was talking about a conflict in the Middle East. And he said, I can't believe these two countries are still at war, going back to war. And he preferenced it as spiritual laziness. So rather than this group talking to that group and being diplomatic, figuring it out, they just take the stance, oh, no, my Bible, my Quran says you're wrong, so we're just going to drop bombs on you. We're going to feel fine, killing civilians. We're fine with that because you're wrong. You're wrong. We're going to war. Mm-hmm. And so, at first I was like, man, this guy's kind of easy for him to wag his finger from small town America at these two countries in the Middle East, but he's right. He is right.
Yeah, on a different scale, for sure.
It's spiritual laziness. No, it's just laziness in general. Rather than hearing a guy out and trying to expand your mind to see their side of it, let's just go to war. And we're okay with that.
Yeah.
And on a much smaller scale, that's what your buddy's kind of talking about.
Yeah.
Nope, no talking politics. We're not talking about religion. And I don't want to hear any of that alien crap either.
Yes, it's definitely those three. And I've even caught myself saying it. Like, we'll talk about it at home, and I'll say something to Joel. And, he's almost 14. I'm like, hey, just so you know, most people, you would never ask how much they make. We don't talk about financials. A lot of times politics. And this... I don't think I've said aliens, but like extraterrestrial, whatever, spiritual, ghosts, whatever. It's kind of dicey. Those are the three things, and it just seems so stupid that you can't.
And I'm on board with being
respectful,
respectful and courteous. But I mean, we should be able to have an open dialogue.
And honestly, for me, I want to know where you stand.
Yeah,
because I want to know what I'm dealing with. I may disagree, and we're not going to get in a fight about it, but at least I know where your head's at.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's no questioning it. Yeah.
Or I
know.
kind of like, and if you're comfortable enough, let's dive into that. Let's ask some questions. You know, why'd you think that?
Right.
I got a lot of family that lives out in Maryland, and they're very liberal.
Okay.
And that's one of their rules. One of my aunts like, no, we're not talking politics. Every time it ends in a fight. I'm like, I'm not fighting.
Yeah.
And how do you know I'm not riding with Biden, Aunt Gail? Come on.
Riding with Biden.
So,
And even what you were talking about earlier, back to kind of the U.S. thing, you know, you said mom goes to a Catholic church, dad goes to a Methodist church. Is that what you said?
yep.
And just the fact that they can even do that in the same town, can practice two
Yeah.
different versions.
And still be married.
Forever.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
been married
I mean-
forever.
and happy and
Yeah.
and all of those things that go along. I mean, that is part of what we're afforded, what makes this country so great.
Yeah.
You know, I guess.
Yeah, you got to
right?
be grateful. Got to be thankful
Yeah.
for all that.
Yeah.
You know? And I do think, I think where a lot of disconnect is coming, maybe not for you, Ben, but I think it does play into it. You don't feel connected to the world around you. You're like, this isn't my America. What happened to my country? What happened to my country? You know, and I always go back to it. I grew up in such a small, ridiculous town. Everybody mattered. Like, everybody knew everybody in the high school. If one kid was sick, we weren't going to win that basketball game because we have a very short ride. You know,
right.
like,
Yep.
everybody
Yep.
If
mattered.
someone wasn't there, they hadn't.
There was a
Yeah.
level of accountability to everybody in that community, whether you wanted it or not. And so you kind of had to live up to it. You did. You know, if Randy, shout out Randy Thompson, if he didn't go and open the grocery store, people weren't getting their groceries that day. You know what I mean? So, and I think some of that's been lost. And it's easy to maybe get a little easier for that to get lost in a concrete jungle, right? Where you just you're in your apartment, you're secluded, you work from home.
You have groceries delivered.
Yeah.
You none
so,
of it.
So you're detached, and then all you see is these two old farts bickering about their golf swing, and the one guy shitting himself. So that's you do wake up and say, like, "What happened to my country?"
Yeah, you can see how it. Yeah, how you can get that picture. What's
What else is bothering you? Can you think of not bothering you? I mean, just like to discuss.
No,
Nothing?
it's just like it's those things. It's troublesome to see that all that stuff happening.
Gotcha.
When I know that at its core, that this is truly the best country that exists. There's no one had. I guess the best way to say it is that nowhere else has the ability to do better than we do. But today, we are not doing better. We can do better.
And don't you think
better.
everybody's
We have-
laughing at us like the other countries?
Well, that's part of my point is that I think a lot of them are.
I don't think so because they've been through it.
Well, but I think a lot of them are laughing because it's like, oh,
Now you're going-
America's so great, huh?
exceptionalism, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But what people need to understand is that the difference maker is the mentality of the common folk, of the silent majority, of the people who are really keeping the wheels spinning in this economy and in this country. You know, the members of the military, you know, the first responders, the day-to-day workers, the people at the grocery store that are making sure that they're there so you can check out and you can get your stuff. The gas station attendant, all of the different people that are making keeping this thing moving forward.
You reminded me of that Alabama song, to the trucker, to the 18-wheeler.
Yes,
who's
that is a good one,
yeah,
too.
You know, like shout out Alabama.
What it comes down to is it's our people, and I'm not saying that our people, like that people around the rest of the world aren't good people. Of course they are. But in the U.S., there's something about this American mentality at our core.
Hey, let's call it a dream.
Yeah, sure. It's the
And
American
the pride
dream, right?
you have, right? You just wear it with a badge of honor, but it seems like it's kind of getting lost.
When you look at where
feel like.
where we came from, you know, in the holiday that we're celebrating, you know, we were a group of people who decided we're tired of the control.
Yeah.
We're tired of this oppression. We want to live our dreams out, and we don't want to, but we will fight for it if we need to. And that was literally what happened with the revolution.
Yeah.
They didn't want to. They literally sent letters back to England and said, "Look, we don't want to fight you.
And
give us our space."
And Mother England thought they were given a lot of space, and compared to a lot of other countries and places that they had control of, they were given the states, or whatever they called it at the time, a lot of freedoms in their book, And it wasn't enough. So we wanted more. We want more, and I feel that that's still very true in America. We want more. Super
does that ever stop then too?
No,
because you just always want more and more.
Well, but
and more.
I think
so
it's
I
think there's a difference between wanting more, and it being excessiveness, and wanting more and it being like a human right, basically. Like, get your thumb off of my, get your boot off of my neck.
Yeah.
Right. Get your thumb off of me.
Yeah.
I want to live my life. I want to raise my kids the way I want to raise them. I want to be able to do the things that I want to do that are all healthy and safe, and I'm not hurting anybody.
And we're still more free than most.
We are. Yeah.
And that once again, and it's kind of sad to see, and I'm like right in the middle of it as far as delivering the news and bringing it, the negative stories get the clicks, get the views. And I even tried to launch something on our YouTube channel called Good News, and it does not.
Don't get much.
That word good, you got to be.
And our CEO's like, you can try that, but you're not going to get any views. And he was right. Yeah, I mean, a shooting here or whatever there, flood devastating a small community, tornado rips apart a town. Yeah. Those get the clicks. A fundraiser to open a new daycare center in a small little community. No clicks.
You need to call it like fake news, but it's really real and have a spin on it. Right?
I need to figure out how to package it, because there are some really cool channels. One of them is just straight up called Good News. And like every month he just rounds up the best news around the world. And he gets, 40,000 views per video.
Well, so if you think about it,
I want to build on that.
We obviously tackle some negative topics here and there, but the majority of what we talk about is like, hey, meet this dude. Look at all this cool shit he's been doing that you didn't know anything about, and so on and so forth. And that's the platform that we've had is from the beginning when we started this. It was that there's so much overall negativity in the day-to-day news. Let's bring a common folk perspective to some of these things. Right. And that's what the idea is here today with the 4th of July and America is like the common folk, myself and you guys, the perspective that I'm getting from the national news that I'm seeing on the debate stage that, is hitting me every single day is negative, and it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
But there is a lot of really good things going on out there.
Overwhelmingly.
And I think we've touched on a bunch of them.
I think so too. And I think every country that's worth its metal has to go through some of this stuff. And I think every regime kind of would use the system, we'll call it, to better themselves, better their family, better their political party. And if you don't do that, are you really human? Let's just admit that. I mean, yeah, right? You always kind of look out for your own on every single level, and we were talking to Kyle last week, which I loved having him as a guest. And we was talking about being fair and being an umpire and volunteering your time. And, I would get roped into that. And I remember one time my younger brother, he struck out. I mean, strike 3
and
to end the game.
And you had to call him out?
I called a ball. Yeah. I called it a ball.
Oh.
And the opposing coach goes, Andy! I'm like, oh, my God. And the catcher goes, oh, man. I go, it might have been a little low. I don't know.
That's funny.
But God damn it. It was one time, and there's already a rivalry built into this thing and, neighboring town and all that stuff. But blood's thicker than water, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah. And so it goes in levels, and if you're going to put America up against any other nation or country or whatever, get off my lawn. I'm still riding red, white, and blue, and I think there's a lot of things to be proud of with it. We welcome immigrants. Do it the right way. Everything's at your disposal. It is what you make it. For me, that's the underlying thing of this life in this country. It is what you make it. Take any example. Bring up any topic, anything you want to do. A lot of people said, Peru State, there's nothing to do there. Small town. Blah, blah. Yeah, there is. There's a lot of things to do. It is what you make it. So, and you're not awarded that or afforded that, however you want to say that, in a lot of other nations.
Right.
So, God damn it, cheer for the Broncos or
Well, I think what it comes
Get out of here.
I think what it comes down to is again we go back to the people and we go to the mentality of the people, and I hope everybody understands that the power is in the people. Think about how big of a difference of to any of these things that we were talking about today that we're troubled with, that the people could make. The people could make a huge difference in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to do. The silent majority is a great group of people, but there's a little bit of an issue with how silent they are.
Yeah.
And I understand, sitting out there in the tractor cab and planting the fields and doing your thing, and you're just like, man, I don't want to be messed with.
Or staying in your apartment and just ordering out.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
leave me alone.
I just want to stay in my lane, leave me alone, these kinds of things. I get all that, but look, man, we need all of you folks to speak up a little bit.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, we need to take this thing back. Like, it hasn't been taken from us yet, but it could.
Yeah.
And we need to take it back.
That's one of the things that happens throughout the history of the world.
Yeah.
If you're the superpower,
Yeah.
you're not for long.
We've got all the things that we need to live good lives and to prosper, and we need to make sure that doesn't change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just be open to hear a guy out. I think that's, for me, a big takeaway from what we're getting at here is just have an open mind. Don't be so confrontational. Don't be an asshole. Yeah, I think that's a good way to live life.
Yeah. I'm thankful for all the folks. We talked about, last week we talked about volunteerism.
Yep.
All the folks that are out there making a difference, doing those kinds of things. Our military, that makes
first responders,
makes us the safest country in the world.
Yep.
Yeah, the first responders, all the people doing all the regular jobs, man. Mm-hmm. It's all needed.
Yeah. Truck drivers, you better believe it.
So last thing, what is your one favorite thing about America that you probably can't have somewhere else?
Don't start with me.
You don't have anything?
I don't know. I didn't know this question was going to be asked.
Nope, I did not.
I'm not really good on the fly, guys.
Favorite thing, like what's more America than anything?
Like a cheeseburger?
Oh, so, I'll have some days where, I'll be having that last beer. A lot of times with maybe a cigar, I'll sneak in there and I'll think, my God. So we blasted some clay, shot some shotguns, over a river, shot around a golf. After that, just snuck down to the river, did a little fishing, and now I'm back on the ranch watching a beautiful sunset. And it's like, how can this be real? Like, just think of all the things I got to do there. It's just so much fun.
Yep.
And I'm just drinking cheap beer, smoking cigars, just having a time with the boys. Man, like it's a hell of a day.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you got?
It's hard to. I think it really is hard to pick one when you think through all of it. Just for the most part, the freedom to kind of raise your kids the way you want to. To do all the things that you want to do with them. You can homeschool if you want. You can public school. You can private school. You can get them involved in stuff. You can not have them involved in stuff. That's not regulated. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do this and X, Y, Z, and blah blah blah. And then for myself personally, I would say it's guns and barbecue.
Yeah. All right.
How do you?
Yeah.
Like, just going out.
I thought you were going to say some kind of food. Isn't a hamburger, cheeseburger so American?
I was literally
come on.
working on my AR yesterday, changing out some parts, making it more efficient, more reliable, more fun. And I'm just in my house just freaking doing it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just building the gun. I could order the parts. I could get them from a reliable U.S. Manufactured organization that makes them from scratch and all these things. And it's just cool and it's fun. Yeah. And then I'm going to go out and I'm going to grab this 500-gallon trailer smoker and throw a couple briskets on and some shoulders on and some burgers and let that fucking thing eat. And
you are America. That is America.
Like, that's great, dude. And all of that is readily available.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's good.
So you haven't said anything yet?
I guess I said cheeseburgers. I mean,
I like
not
that.
Really,
And I believe that's more American than
I
you
mean,
know.
It is more American than you know.
Those were introduced to the world at the World's Fair. In
Tennessee
you know
World Fair?
stats
Was it?
at this?
Probably,
Was
yeah.
it in Tennessee?
Stop.
Yeah, it was a long, long time ago, and America at the World's Fair, and I think it was Nashville. It was the first hamburger stand.
I think it was Knoxville. Actually.
Was it in Knoxville?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, my
there
head,
you go.
when we continue to talk about this, my head goes to being able to have the time. I know this sounds weird, but like to be healthy, to have the options, to be able to go walk, go run,
Sure.
eat healthy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like all these
No,
things are
of
readily
course.
available rather than just being like Wall-E. I just feel you're living life better when you make
You have the freedom to
healthy,
live that life.
yes,
healthy,
choices
if you want to.
if you want to. But then I also think maybe that could sound bougie for someone that doesn't have.
No, they have the freedom to live like slobs, and I mean, it's.
And I think things
You
like
got it.
in how we use them, things like podcasts are one of the greatest things that have happened to this country
Mm-hmm.
because it's brought out perspective from
Yeah.
just regular people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not influenced by some other big money or
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. And this is the kind of stuff that isn't allowed in a lot of other
You're
countries. You know what I
damn
mean?
right it's not.
The censorship and all that.
Yeah. With your hamburger story, I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna do the
Oh,
ultimate worst
no.
thing ever. But I feel like this is pretty goddamn American.
Okay, go.
Ashley had a few mojitos last night with
Mhm.
one of her girlfriends, and then came home, and I had the grinder all ready to go. So we grind up some of the deer she shot
Oh,
this
yeah.
year with the
Mhm.
pork shoulder we bought that was on quick sale at the grocery store. And I don't know, we got something like 20 pounds of hamburger now.
There you go.
Boom.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
And you didn't even have to pay any tax on that deer.
No, there you go.
Just try out the backyard.
Yeah, the royal tax.
Yeah. So last thing, I just looked it up real quick. You were talking about the World's Fair and burgers. It says 1904 St. Louis
Oh.
World's Fair.
Oh,
Okay.
Midwest. Gotta love it.
And one of
Gateway.
the stories is that there was a vendor there who ran out of plates. They were just serving meat, like
Mhm.
meat patties.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started throwing them on slices of bread and handing them to people. And then people started eating them that way. And they were like, these two things are kind of good together.
Yeah.
Oh my
And the
gosh! What are
ham-
the chances?
That's an American success
That's
story
freaking
right there.
America.
That
And then
is.
and then you put that
Cheese on
nasty
top.
piece of American cheese just all over the damn thing.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh my god, so
That
good.
fake cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, well, I
Well,
guess
I
we
think this
ran
was
up and down
good.
it. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Do you feel better?
I feel better.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I just take
Do
a
you mean
moment.
have another shot?
Take a moment when you're watching those crazy explosions in the sky to just
Mhm.
think, God damn it, we have the freedom to watch this and enjoy this.
We have a
True.
freedom to buy fireworks and blow up our money,
yeah, blow shit
Mhm.
up. It's fun.
Mhm. True that.
which sounds kind of dumb too, actually, if you think about it.
Goes back to the choice thing.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Well, happy 4th of July, everyone.
Happy 4th,
Hope you get to enjoy it.
America.
I know we're gonna have a few beers. We're gonna
Yep.
do a boil with the neighbors.
Yeah.
We're gonna be celebrating America
On the
in full
water.
fashion.
You're
I
going to
got
be
a-
doing your big old pancake feed and all the stuff for
Fire
the department.
I got
mean,
I got a pair of American flag underwear that I'll be wearing.
and you
Very
need to wear
nice.
your boil shirt. It's
Yep,
blue and
yep.
red,
It's got crawfish all
crawfish
over
on it. I mean,
All right.
guys,
Let's
we
have
got
a
this.
toast
Cheers.
to the red,
Toast
white,
to
and
America.
Pabst
And
Blue Ribbon.
All right,
Cheers.
all right. Cheers. Let me take a little
Peace.
drinky here before I close it out. Hold up. Oh yeah,
There we
That's
go.
Good.
all right.
Freedom!
We'll see you.